warned Canada, saying that the bilateral ties between the two countries might suffer. This statement comes after the Indian Ministry of External Affairs issued a demarche objecting to the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's comment on the farmers' protests in India. India summoned the Canadian High Commissioner, issuing a demarche and lodging its strong objection to Trudeau's comments. India has strongly maintained that the issues relating to Indian farmers constitute an unacceptable interference in India's internal affairs. India also warned, saying that such actions, if continued, would have a seriously damaging impact on ties between India and Canada. Earlier, the External Affairs Ministry termed Trudeau's comments as unwarranted and that diplomatic conversations are not misrepresented for political purposes. For more on this, we have our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibal. Siddhant, this is a strong statement, that a message that goes out to Canada on behalf of India. Get us up to speed with the latest coming in.
Well, Molly, this is an unprecedented development because rarely ever a Canadian envoy is summoned, but he's summoned, of course, because of the remarks made by the Canadian Prime Minister on the farmer protest here in India. This is the third time, in fact, India has reacted, because immediately after the remarks, we know that the MEA had issued a statement calling the remarks something which was interfering in internal affairs of India. Then, of course, at the weekly briefing, and now again India has reacted. This time, of course, India has summoned a Canadian envoy and handed over a demarche, and also highlighted that the provocative remarks by the Canadian Prime Minister have increased threat level when it comes to the Indian missions and the Indian diplomats in Canada. In fact, ever since these remarks have been made, there have been a lot of protests near the Indian mission. That, of course, is something that is worrisome, and India has asked Canada to make sure the security is increased. But if we look at the remarks, it is hypocritical, given the fact that it is well known that the remarks are something catering to the domestic audience, given the fact that there are a lot of Indians, especially from the North Indian state of Punjab, and to cater to those vote banks, the remarks have been made. But of course, it panders to also the extremist element. There are, of course, a fringe element also. We know one of the worst terror attacks which took place in the world was the Kanishka bombing of 1985, and it was because of the Khalistani terrorists in Canada. But unfortunately, the Canadian Prime Minister has a tendency of perhaps landing himself into trouble and irk New Delhi. This is not the first time that he has done something like this. In 2017, he was part of the Khalsa Day parade where Sikh extremists were present. And then, of course, his very infamous week-long India visit in 2018, when a convicted Khalistani terrorist landed in a reception being hosted by him in Mumbai. That, of course, was embarrassment for the Canadian Prime Minister. But clearly, this time, the strong remarks by New Delhi is to show that no country has the right to interfere in India's internal matters. And similar things happened when the CA protests happened in India, when of course, India revoked the special status for the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir. Countries like China and Pakistan had made remarks, and similarly, India had strongly protested that.
All right, leaving it there for the moment, Siddhant, thanks very much for getting us up to speed with what's happening between India and Canada. Moving on for now, in a